Hello. How soon it would seem one forgets their obligations, but that's not the case. I could give you an excuse. I could say it was piracy. I could say it was mutiny. I could say it was sabotage. All of those things would be correct. But the truth of the matter is that I did lay out some terms. I made a commitment. I did not follow through. Not yesterday. I did not. I could say that through derivative I did, or rather that the sincerity of the intent actually was moved on. I could say that. I could say that I have right here what would have been a comprehensive legislative proposal, an entire package of legislation that was formally put into a indexable form, or rather table of contents, on June 21st of 2020 by 6:50 p.m. Central Standard Time. I called it the TTAP Act, Terroristic Trading Activities Prevention Act. It's a culmination of years' worth of work. I've written previous pieces of legislation that were intended to have multiple stages, including regarding telecommunications reform, including a proposed excise tax concerning various activities in order to prevent against human trafficking, including a nanotechnology and vibrational technologies legislation package that originally was stolen and I had to modify and now have a amended or rather refined version of that, and that those would have been things that would have been contributors toward what would have been what I would have done were I to have been able to formally present this package regarding terroristic trading activities prevention act. There's multiple sections. Right now there appear to be 8 formal sections, various things that were referenced, and in attendant with that was multiple other things that were ongoing at that time. Now, I did that here in Dallas, Texas. It just so happened that shortly after this, there was an announcement that the nation of Pakistan had implemented a comprehensive terrorist financing act, an act to counter terrorist financing. I was not aware at the time this was happening that it may have any correlations with efforts in Pakistan. But I did make public my expression of acknowledgement regarding what Pakistan had done at the time they did. There was a series of events that were going on here that I believe could have been greatly impacted with a good faith cooperative effort with international partners. And were that to have actually occurred this past summer, then today we'd actually be in a good position. I could be putting forth this along with those other 3 efforts as a comprehensive package of reform and modifications to things that have been going on internally, along with the priorities that I would have set in an administration regarding countering narcotics trafficking and the attendant social evils. We'd be in a very good position, I believe. Not only in terms of dealing with our internal morass, including pirates and mutineers, but also in terms of establishing a more civilized and respectful international discursive methodology. These things are very comprehensive. There's something very dissatisfying about having a multi-year commitment where I am, in the milieu I am, experiencing what I'm experiencing, and then seeing what could potentially be a very profitable and prosperous international partner not complemented within my country concerning what they're doing concurrently. It's not the preferred situation. Nonetheless, we have this commitment. I'd said a paragraph a day. I was in a situation where somebody did something and they demoted themselves. I don't believe in that. You can take the justification or not. Let us continue. The strategical background to a campaign or battle is of great significance. What was the aim? What was the commander trying to achieve? An objective may be very desirable strategically, but that which is strategically desirable must be tactically possible with the forces and means available. The precise facts are important, but the general picture must be drawn and the feel of the campaign shown. Well, that's the paragraph. Now, the thing is, it would seem that the paragraph was demonstrated yesterday, wasn't it? This is part of why we should be communicating more directly and personally. The structure is very important. The formality is very important. But it's about these age-old considerations of theory and praxis. And by and large, the history of the 20th century was that vanguardism did not usually deliver on what they claimed they could. The elites, while they could command the bandwidth at the level it was at the time, weren't the ones that actually did the work over and over and over again. Even at the highest levels of leadership or the most basic levels of production of the material needs of the people, over and over again. The people who actually do the work, including the work of national defense, are not the people who get the acknowledgement, are not the people who get the say in what to do, and more often than not are the ones that have to pay for those who did say they could do it and then didn't end up doing it themselves. This was a great deal of the history of the 20th century, the cult of personality and how it dominated media. Some people want us to think about the history of marketing and branding. But until I get my standard back from what we did in this country during World War II when it came to production and distribution of the armaments for the war, I'm not interested in any of their marketing plans. And because of that, I'm going to extend a good faith effort. And I'm going to get back to what is in here next. I saw it, and I think it's very applicable to today. Let's see what we have. Maybe you'll agree. The next paragraph. Sea power has had a decisive influence on warfare since very ancient times. In their wars against the Persians, the Athenians realized that the enemy could not be beaten so long as the Persian fleet could transport men and supplies across the Aegean and land them at will along the Greek seaboard. Athens, by a supreme effort, built up her naval power and defeated the Persians in the sea battle of Salamis in 480 BC. The Persian campaign ended a year later. Greece then dominated the eastern Mediterranean, enjoying an age of commercial prosperity and producing a great civilization. Ah, there we are. Perhaps if we had the correct people in the correct places, we could get to that age of prosperity and civilization.